Darth, Theorist, rise. What if Obi-Wan didn't die in A New Hope? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. He watches as everything seems to slow down, and Vader pulls back his weapon to finish off Obi-Wan. The red lightsaber flashes, but Luke somehow manages to stop him, his hand thrust out, and a wave of energy bursts forward. Vader turns just in time to see the energy hurling towards him. He braces himself, but underestimates the attack and sends him reeling. It forces the Dark Lord to stagger back a step, but none of that is as powerful as the shock on his face. For a moment, he cannot do anything but stare at his son in surprise. The attack takes everyone off guard, including Obi-Wan. Luke shouts at him to keep going, and at last shakes the Jedi out of his stupor. He feels Luke grabbing his arm and guiding him towards the Millennium Falcon. Together, they take off just as Vader recovers. He advances towards them, still trying to make sense of everything that just happened. Though he sends TIE fighters after them, they are unable to bring the ship back. All they can do is prepare for the inevitable rebel attack and hurry to Dantooine. All of this is in hopes of destroying the rebel base before this information can be spread out. Meanwhile, aboard the Millennium Falcon, the small crew sits in silence. While Han and Chewbacca focus on piloting, Obi-Wan stares at the boy. For all these years, he's guarded the boy, watching from a distance as he's grown up, unaware of his true power. But now that he's displayed it for the first time, he sees it for himself.
You are even more powerful than I imagined.
You knew about this?
I have spoken to you about the Force, Luke. This is the power of which I speak. It flows through you, as it flows through me, and through Lord Vader. This power is what made me a Jedi.
So that is the Force?
I've never harnessed anything like this before. I don't know how to use it.
Then I will teach you, young one. After we take care of this situation with the Death Star, you should leave and train with me. I shall show you all there is to know about being a Jedi. That is, if you're willing to accept this power and the responsibility that comes with it.
Luke thinks for a long moment. For all his life, he had wished to explore the galaxy beyond his tiny farm, and while he'd longed to join the Imperial Academy, after seeing everything the Empire's done, he can't ever bring himself to join them again. His mind goes back to what happened to his uncle and aunt, and he shakes his head. No, he can't ever serve them. But if not, he would have considered the Rebel Alliance. They're always in need of pilots, and he could still make a name for himself there. What Obi-Wan proposes, though, is nothing like he's ever imagined. It is exciting and terrifying, but the opportunity is unlike anything he's ever encountered.
All right. I'll think about it.
There isn't much time to consider, though, as they soon return to the Rebel base, where a counterattack is organized against the approaching Death Star. Thankfully, the plans that Leia smuggled provide them with critical information about it. That is at least a chance. And he takes part in the Rebel fighter squadron that attacks the battle station. Although designed to hold back capital ships, the X-Wings still suffer heavy losses, especially once Vader takes part. While he is far from the Jedi he once was, his skills as a pilot remain undeniable, and his fighter streaks through space, blowing through ships that try to escort the X-Wing pilots. However, Luke manages to blow through their defenses with a handful of other fighters. They sweep through the trench and begin their attack run, and then he hears it.
Use the Force, Luke.
Ben?
On your communicator. Luke, use the Force.
Taking a deep breath, Luke shuts off his targeting computer and begins to aim. He closes his eyes, feeling the Force flowing through him. For the first time, something reaches out and tingles at his senses. It is just as Obi-Wan says. It surrounds him and penetrates him, and as the energy flows through him, he fires. The rebels are jubilant after this success and praise Luke as a hero. For a moment, the rebellion is in the ascendant and scored its greatest success against the Empire. Many wish for Luke to serve their cause as an officer, but Luke declines as he considers Obi-Wan's offer. After the award ceremony, he departs with the former general to begin his training. While many, especially Leia, are disappointed by this, they cannot stop him and are buoyed only by Luke's promise that he will return once he's mastered the arts of the Jedi. One person who watches this is Vader, who who deploys a spy probe to observe their actions before his TIE fighter disappears into hyperspace. Luke and Obi-Wan travel away from Dantooine and into Ilum, where they begin their training. The planet is strong in the Force, and Luke feels its energy all around him, just as he did during the Battle of Yavin, and yet here the presence feels far more constant. Their first lesson is to meditate on this planet and allow the Force to flow freely. It was one thing to channel it during a stressful situation, but Obi-Wan wishes for him to reach out and use the Force naturally. They spend hours in the forests and mines of Ilum, basking in the power of the Force, meditating, clearing their minds, and opening themselves to the possibilities. As they practice, Obi-Wan begins to explain the history of the Jedi and the ideas of the living Force. He reaffirms that the Force is in all beings, but only a select few are able to channel it. They must have a strong connection to it, and, more importantly, understand how to draw strength from others around them and the world itself. As they talk, he also talks about the Clone Wars and the history of the Jedi. There, Obi-Wan reveals his true name and explains his role in the Clone Wars during this time. He served as a Jedi general named Obi-Wan Kenobi. These topics are more difficult to discuss than he realizes, and more than once Luke sees Obi-Wan growing emotional. One place he is particularly quiet about is regarding his father. Although he says that Anakin died during the conflict, he does not say how or give more details, and Luke has a hard time pressing him. Beyond that, he proves to be an exceptional student. Having already drawn into the Force in such a big way, he feels its power and is eager to channel it again. While he is emotional like his father, guided by ideas of love and passion, he is also more stable. Since he grew up in a stable environment, he can better control his emotions. During their meditations, Obi-Wan observes the boy, watching as the Force begins to flow into him more easily. He advances quickly and begins to replicate the same feats Anakin did during his time in the Jedi, from lifting up objects with his mind to unleashing bursts of energy. When he is calm, Ilum seems to react as the lands around them grow calm. The weather is pleasant and flowers bloom, yet when Luke grows restless, the wind begins to blow stronger and some of the plants begin to dry up. However, he isn't entirely without his faults, as Obi-Wan also notes that there is still darkness within Luke. After his encounter with Vader on the Death Star, he can feel the anger brewing in the boy. The young Padawan sees the Dark Lord as nothing more than a villain, the enforcer of the Empire's oppression, and seeing him almost kill an old man Luke cared about, he vows he will destroy him. Those thoughts, along with the desire to help his friends in the rebellion, continue to guide him throughout his training. Seeing this power growing, he feels the weight of this responsibility pressing against him. He isn't just the next Jedi. He will be the only one after this.
Luke, I can sense your anger. You are furious at Lord Vader. I understand why, but you must calm yourself if you are to become a Jedi.
Are you saying I shouldn't be mad at Darth Vader after everything he's done? How many innocents has he killed? You almost joined them.
No. Your anger is justified, and I will not claim anything else. However, you must not let that anger define you. When you draw on the Force, you take some of its energy and put yours out. To release only hate and anger will soon catch up to you. You know, your father struggled with this same issue when he was your age.
How did he overcome it?
He never did. It is one reason that he was unable to survive the war.
Then teach me to be stronger.
I cannot teach you until you understand that. But if you doubt me, then I invite you to head into the mines of Ilum and begin constructing your lightsaber.
Luke's eyes widen when he hears this. For a long time, he's wanted to create his own lightsaber, but Obi-Wan insists it will only happen when he's ready. Now everything happens so fast as the older Jedi guides him into the caverns. As Luke enters the Kyber crystal mines, his eyes widen in awe at the sight of the sparkling crystals hidden behind a thick wall of ice. They look like the flashing stars of the galaxy, and he can almost reach out and touch them. Obi-Wan tells him that only the Force can guide him to finding his crystal. For hours afterward, he wanders the icy caverns, hugging himself and shivering. The cave grows colder by the hour as he wanders the caverns. The icy winds nip at his neck, hampering his conversation and leaving it harder for him to reach into the Force. He closes his eyes and tries to calm himself, taking a few shaky breaths. The Force is still there, but more distant, and lingers just out of his reach as the weather seems to weigh him down. Amidst the cold and ice, another Force calls out to him, this one from within. It tells him not to settle for simply asking and begging for the power, but to take it. That primal tingle spreads through him, warming his bones and letting him breathe easier. It reminds him that he is one of the few beings who can harness his power, then it is his responsibility to harness it to its fullest potential. That is the only way he can find his kyber crystal and defeat Darth Vader. For a moment, Luke stands, no longer cold, but instead he feels his mind divided at what he must do next. He is tempted to follow this path, but then recalls what Obi-Wan says, and watches the lights in the cavern begin to dim. Instead, he shakes his head and swallows another breath. This time, he forces that anger down and instead tries to calm himself. Instead, he focuses on the energy around him and tries to coax it out. When he opens his eyes, the faint flickers begin to light up again. Hours later, Obi-Wan watches outside of the kyber crystal mine and begins to regret his decision. By now, the ice wall forming by the entrance is about to reach the floor, and there is still no sign of Luke. He is about to follow after him, but then he hears footsteps, and Luke slowly steps out, a green kyber crystal in his hand as he smiles faintly. Obi-Wan runs up and embraces him. He stares at the crystal and smiles.
You've done it, my boy. I'm so proud of you. You have taken your next step to becoming a Jedi.
Thank you, Master. While the power in him begins to subside, if only for a moment, the darkness within does not fully disappear. Meanwhile, outside their little corner, the war between the Empire and the Rebellion continues to rage. Eager to capitalize on their victory at Yavin 4, they begin to strike all across Imperial space, raising planets that see this weakness into revolt. Many of these planets sense weakness and join up, but that weakness does not last. The destruction of the Death Star is a considerable blow, but the Empire still commands countless resources, and after their defeat, many in the Imperial military double down on using military force to ensure their rule. New fleets are deployed in the Outer Rim, striking down these attempted rebellions. The rebels fight hard, leading to considerable losses on both sides, but the Rebel Alliance gets the worst of it. A big part of that is because of Darth Vader, who remains a warrior without peer. Everywhere he goes, destruction follows. Entire armies are laid to waste, and cities brought to ruin. All the Rebel Alliance can do is simply try to plug up the gaps he creates, even as they give ground. Although they now have a better understanding of the power he controls, it does little to help when they have no one to call upon the Force. Luke's promise to return rings hollow now when their forces are being beaten back and their plans to gain momentum in this war are faltering. Many instead search for alternative solutions. There are a few Jedi in the rebellion, but none can match Obi-Wan's skill. So instead, Leia focuses her energy on finding someone who can match his skill and lead their forces. She goes through all the available information she can find, trying to find any records of other Jedi they can call upon. However, even with her resources, she cannot find another Jedi of Obi-Wan's caliber. However, she does find something else. Reports during the Clone Wars of a Jedi killer, someone who was able to best the Jedi had to offer. She had served in the CIS and was reported killed in the Battle of Sullust. There are still reports of her being active afterwards. Asajj Ventress. The former separatist is still active, working as a bounty hunter. This allows Leia to recruit her, though it costs a small fortune. Still, it proves to be worth every penny, as Ventress is more than a match for the Imperial forces. Not only is she a Force user, but she is also a competent military commander in her own right. As soon as she enters the battlefield, things begin to change as she cuts through swaths of stormtroopers on her own. This clears a path for the rest of the rebels to advance, and for the first time they find themselves advancing yet again. While Vader is a hammer smashing through their lines, Ventress acts as a scalpel. She cuts through them with surgical precision. Sometimes she deploys only a handful of elite drop troopers to sabotage their forces. Other times, an entire army to fight in the open field. Leia comes to rely on her as the rebellion's best weapon. The two of them spend long hours drawing up battle plans and talking about the future, and it is there that Ventress feels a strange familiarity with Leia. Though not as strong as Luke's, she can sense the Force inside her, guiding her forward. Soon, she leads a major offensive on a ravaged Mid-Rim world, where she commands her troops to capture an Imperial supply depot. Ventress stands, her twin red blades spinning. Around her, rebel soldiers rally, ducking behind the burned-out wreckage of speeders and shattered durasteel.
Push forward! Don't give them time to regroup.
The rebels obey. They've learned not to question her, whatever her past. She's a monster on the battlefield. When the Imperial walkers emerge from the smoke, Ventress lifts her hands, and the Force surges. The nearest walker groans, metal screeching as it lifts from the ground and crashes into another, exploding in a shower of molten debris. Leia follows and then stumbles. Her eyes narrow as she senses something. A pulse in the Force. Distant, yet familiar. Something vast and mechanical. Something that feels like the echo of Yavin. It pulls her to the data center while the rest of the rebels head to the bridge.
Ventress, come with me.
Inside the data center, techs try desperately to delete information. 3 of them feel themselves being lifted off the ground as Ventress chokes them with the Force. She then flings them aside as she downloads the data. She studies a captured Imperial officer's datapad. The encryption is tight, but she's patient. The flicker of blue light reflects in her eyes as schematics and coded coordinates scroll past. A partially finished battle station. Massive. Orbital construction in the Endor system. She rises, pacing across the cramped room. The thought chills even her. The last Death Star had already killed billions. Another would end the rebellion entirely if allowed to enter operations.
So, the Emperor wants his toy rebuilt.
If that thing gets operations, it will mean a disaster for the rebellion. But if you destroy it, well, once is an accident, twice is incompetence. People will recognize that.
That's a big if. You're good, Ventress, but we'll need more help destroying that thing.
Far away, on Ilum's icy plains, Obi-Wan opens his eyes. The Force whispers before the transmission even arrives. He senses it, a disturbance, faint yet urgent. Luke looks up from where he's been meditating, his expression bright with curiosity.
Another message from the Alliance?
Kenobi. Long time.
Ventress, the years haven't been kind to you.
Oh, don't start thinking you are much to look at.
Master Kenobi, we need your help. The Empire's building another Death Star, and we can't stop it without you.
Luke stands, excitement flashing in his eyes. Obi-Wan studies him, the eagerness, the strength, and finally inclines his head. A freighter bearing the components of the Death Star soon comes under attack. Thanks to the information that Ventress obtained, they find the location of the supply depots and simply wait for one of the ships to take off and strike while it is out of range from support. The X-Wings dive through the firestorm. Luke leads the attack, his voice calm, eyes locked as he feels the Force guide his movements. Blaster fire streaks past as he rolls the fighter through the chaos, taking out turrets one by one and clearing a landing pad for more ships to board and attack. Ventress leaps from the ramp with her twin red blades, igniting in unison. Stormtroopers scatter as she tears through their formation. The rebels behind her pour through the breach, securing the Imperial freighter. Obi-Wan takes the rule and cuts through the survivors while Leia keeps close. Within minutes, the bridge is theirs, and yet, as they secure it, a figure steps out. The doors hiss open, and a tall figure in black armor strides in, a crimson lightsaber humming to life. Luke steps forward, blue blade igniting.
Your master's building a weapon that'll kill millions.
And yet you sound just like him when you say that. Or what he used to sound like.
What are you talking about?
I am not so young that I have not seen what Lord Vader once was. He has an interest in you. At first, I had no idea why, but now I see it. He sees himself in you.
Liar!
He springs forward and his lightsaber flashes. The Inquisitor parries the blow and tries to whirl the blade at him. The young Jedi jerks his head back from the assault and kicks him aside. Grunting, the Inquisitor advances again, whirling his lightsaber around. Luke takes a deep breath and presses his blade against him. He times the strike just right and catches his blade. The Inquisitor's eyes widen in surprise, but he shoves him back and kicks him against the wall.
You fight like him too. Passion and rage together. You are his son.
Ventress watches in silence, her eyes narrowing. Obi-Wan's silence on the comm speaks volumes.
You're lying!
No, it's true. Anakin Skywalker, your father, was seduced by the dark side. He became Vader.
You lied to me? All this time? Why?
I told the truth from a certain point of view.
Don't give me that. You lied. You knew what happened and you didn't tell me. I want to know why.
Because I didn't want to make this more difficult for you. I thought it would be kinder to just let you believe he died.
Easier for me? Or for you? Maybe that's the problem with your point of view.
The Inquisitor suddenly springs forward, slashing his lightsaber at him. But Obi-Wan moves to push Luke aside, yet he doesn't budge and simply drives his blade into the warrior's heart. The Inquisitor's eyes widen, being lifted off the ground before dropping him. Luke lets him fall and stares at Obi-Wan, then slowly turns and walks without another move. The former Jedi Master is about to follow after him, but Ventress shakes her head and says she'll talk to him instead. Ventress finds him sitting on the wing of his X-Wing and lays a hand on his shoulder.
I've fought with and against Obi-Wan for years. He's irritating and painfully principled, but his heart is in the right place. Whatever he said, he meant it.
It doesn't matter. He lied to me.
Aye, the Jedi are good at that. They lie and keep secrets, all while acting holier than thou. That is the world Obi-Wan grew up in. He was a fool to continue that, but I never said he was without fault. He had to watch his student fall to the dark side. That could not have been easy for him.
And is he so convinced that I am that weak? That I would make the same mistake?
It isn't weakness alone that leads people to the dark side. Your father was the most powerful Jedi I knew. Yet even he succumbed to its temptations. If you truly wish to prove him wrong, then show it with your actions.
Then I'll confront him myself.
Within the freighter under their control. With the freighter under their control, they begin to approach the Death Star atop Endor. The clearance codes on the transport allow them free passage into the Death Star, allowing them to board the ship. The workers and guards soon find themselves under attack as the ship sets down and the Jedi and their allies emerge. Luke, Leia, Ventress, Obi-Wan, and a strike team disembark, carrying a data spike loaded with the viral code that will overload the core. While the guards try to scramble and defend the station, they sprint through the corridor, and a massive blast door seals ahead. A single figure steps through the smoke.
Leave us.
The stormtroopers withdraw. His crimson blade ignites.
I know the truth now.
Then join me. Do not destroy this station, but make it our own.
Rage flares in Luke's eyes. Their blades clash, the impact shaking the corridor. Leia steps back and fires her blaster, but has no lightsaber. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Ventress follow after Luke. They rush at him, Ventress's blade whirling around to try and overwhelm Vader. He manages to intercept these strikes and sweeps his weapon back, forcing Ventress to dodge, while Obi-Wan brings his weapon back. Their blades clash several times. Each time their blades connect, it sends memories rushing through the pair. With that, all the emotions begin to rush through them. Obi-Wan stares at his former student, shaking and gripping his weapon tighter. The fear starts to run through his body, but he pushes that aside and continues to attack. In contrast, the emotions within Vader do not dissipate. They linger and grow as Vader's attacks grow stronger and push the Jedi back. Ventress leaps up and tries to slash at him, their twin blades whirling around while Luke follows beside him. Leia helps Obi-Wan move aside and fires her blaster. Sparks fly as Luke attacks with raw fury, every swing sharper, heavier, faster. Vader staggers backwards under the onslaught.
Good. Let your anger give you strength.
Ventress tries to finish the fight quickly, sweeping her lightsabers low. She tries to slash at his legs, but Vader suddenly leaps back and kicks her aside. When he hits the ground, Luke presses him back, his face burning with fury.
You destroyed everything!
He drives his knee up to his chest and leaves Vader stumbling. When he tries to deflect the attack, he underestimates Luke's strength, which sends him staggering. Ventress follows and leaps up, launching herself off the wall and avoiding a counterstrike and kicking him in the face. When he tries to push forward, Obi-Wan presses his hands forward and uses the Force to keep Vader down. Luke steps forward, readying to drive his lightsaber through his chest, and pulls back for an attack.
Luke, don't make my mistake. If you wish to prove Kenobi wrong, now is the time.
Luke's breath trembles. He looks at her, then back at Vader. The darkness burns within him, begging to be unleashed. He powers down his blade. For a long moment, there is only silence. Then Vader slowly nods. He doesn't have much choice. He doesn't have much choice in the matter now that they've captured him. Together, they reach the core. Leia uploads the viral code. Lights flicker as the Death Star systems begin to fail. As the alarms blare, Luke and Vader stagger toward the shuttle bay. Obi-Wan's voice comes through the comm.
Luke, I never meant to deceive you. Your father's legacy is not your destiny. Forgive me.
I already have.
Ventress looks out the viewport as the Death Star begins to rupture. They leap aboard their shuttle and blast away as the superstructure implodes in a blinding surge of light. The destruction of the Death Star 2 is a crippling blow for the Empire, but the capture of Lord Vader is an even bigger blow. While he could easily escape, Luke and Leia personally take charge of his security, and while there, the two of them talk to him, slowly getting more information out of him and promising to help take down Palpatine. All of them require information, and Vader provides it. He tells them all about Palpatine's rise to power, and how he had used the Clone Wars to gain it. Even the Death Star was a project that was many decades in the making, predating even the Clone Wars. When the Imperial Senate and the military hear of this, they are stunned. Even his most ardent supporters knew nothing about this, and the divide between him and the Emperor grows. Many systems renounce the Empire, others declare their independence, and some warlords try to seize power. In a way, it is another Clone Wars, but with the Empire too weak to fight back. Palpatine watches as he slowly loses grip on power. Meanwhile, the Rebel Alliance grows in strength as it picks up allies and begins wiping out warlords who become troublesome. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.